Hello, hello. It is actually, I'm recording for day 241, 242, 243, 244, and 245 of 365 days of my raw suspending disbelief journey. This is December 19th to 23rd, 2024. So just leading up to Christmas and, it really just, things started getting so busy and absolutely insane and everything that I decided I would sort of chunk out the days over the holidays. That also gives me less to do since I'm not actually on and working. So day 100 or 241, the the day was mostly normal. The kids were still in school that day and all of that, but my uncle was arriving to stay with us for almost 2 weeks. Um Later on that evening, and the house was just a disaster because everybody had been sick over the last week. And so we were like we just did a clean hard kind of thing in the evening, once the kids got home, and I got done with all my work for the day and all of that. So um, we just sort of ran around like crazy, cleaning up all the toys that the kids have been occupying themselves with while I was less energetic, and all of the like catching up on all the laundry from sick kids and all of these things. So it was just a lot. And we actually ended up sort of redoing the toy area in the basement, so that it was set up in a way that the kids can, not only play down there, but there's been an extra TV sitting down there that just hasn't been set up. So I've set that up and all of these things so that we could just have, sort of one more space that felt more um, accommodating for them so that I can have a place to sort of send them to. Right now, I tend to be like wherever I'm working is also where they tend to be playing, and it can be really distracting and stuff like that. And while sometimes it's great, other times it's not. So there are times that I love it. I want to have, at least we're in each other's vicinity and we're all hanging out together and all of that kind of thing. But then other times it's like, okay, you guys, like go somewhere else. I need to focus a little bit more, whatever. And instead of sending them off to their rooms or whatever, I can send them down into sort of this more of a hangout area instead of just like, there's all your toys, go play. There's a little bit more to it now. So, and even, if they want to play their video games, they can do that down there instead of just in the main area upstairs and all of that. So that was great, and exhausting and a lot of work because the house had just, it was like a hurricane went through it. It was just an absolute disaster, from a week of everybody being sick and all of these things. Um, and then my uncle did arrive. It was quite late on Thursday night, and uh, it just, you know, got to bed later that night and whatever. The kids still had school on the Friday, so uh, still took them in the morning. Sort of had a half regular working day and half just, it was mostly just trying to wrap things up for the couple of weeks before I was off for the holidays, and feeling really crappy. So even when I drove Cadence to school in the morning, after dropping Jace off, I took Cadence and she was like, I am not feeling great. I don't know if I'm going to make it through this day. And I was like, well, let me know. And I had woken up just sort of not feeling great either. And um, we were kind of not sure because neither of us caught the stomach bug that the other two had had in the last week. And so it was like, well, shoot, I thought we escaped this. Maybe we didn't. But then we kind of realized that maybe what actually ended up happening was, earlier on in the week, she had made this recipe from a meal plan that we made, and it was really yummy. But she had used some sauce that had some meat in it that had been in the fridge for quite a while, and I think longer than either of us realized. And so I had said, yeah, go ahead and use it. And but I think it was with everybody being sick, it just had sat there for longer than we realized. It was a little off. And both of us ended up throwing up later on that night on Friday. So both myself and Cadence were sick, and it was like non-functional sick, and yet there's two younger kids needing to be taken care of and all of this stuff. So it was a lot. Um, I was also like running errands in the evening kind of thing, and left the kids with Cadence, and had run my uncle around to do errands at the same time as I was doing errands, and just, oh, it was brutal, just really not feeling good and feeling that like nauseous and dizzy sorts of feelings and whatever, and then just kind of barely made it back and was making supper for the kids, and then started throwing up. So it was not a great evening. I don't throw up a lot. So um it was a write-off for me, as was most of Saturday for both Cadence and myself. It was sort of just like barely functioning enough to feed the younger kids and let them be on a screen all day because we were so sick. And of course, just allowing that, because what else are you going to do? Um, so then Sunday, the 22nd rolled around, and it was just like, okay, like we're coming up on Christmas really quickly here. I only have the kids for a couple more days before they go to their dads, and all of this stuff. But it was just like, let's just relax. Let's just hang out together. We played some card games. We played some video games. We just sort of took it easy. Um, as Cadence and I both were sort of recovering our energy, and the other two were like, oh, yay, we get to just, hang around and do whatever. We don't have to worry about it. So just spending some time with family, and all of these things. And then the 23rd, the Monday, was absolutely gorgeous out. The weather was so nice, and it has been for most of this time already. Like we've been really lucky for this time of year, that it's been really warm. So we went tobogganing. Haven't done that for a few years with the kids, honestly. Like not a few years, but at least the last couple. Just after leaving my ex, it was a I just didn't have the energy. So, like, I mean, we did build like a mini hill in our backyard with all the snow that fell one year, and they kind of tobogganed back there, and I goofed off with them back there and stuff. But I didn't have a lot of energy to go take them somewhere and have this big outing and whatever. So it was the first time in a while I had taken them, and we had a blast. And the hill that we found, which is like the main or maybe even the only one in town, was actually huge, really steep, and it was really intense. So it was like you could keep on going for like a kilometer down to the river, and or to the stream that goes under the bridge or whatever, and it just kept going and going and going. And it sort of faced off with another hill. So if you had enough momentum going, sometimes you would go up the other hill a bit and then come back down, and you'd race towards the trees on the side instead of sort of going down the middle. And yeah, it was insanity. It was wild and crazy and fun. And I ended up going down somehow, like I twisted around a couple of times or whatever, and like my shirt had come up, and I went down on my belly like a penguin, like my bare belly on the snow. So it was cold. It was a blast. And then we came home and had some like hot chocolate and whatever. So just spending as much time as we could together, despite the illness continuing. Um and even the Saturday and Sunday, because I had been so off on the Thursday, Friday, and everything with the kids wrapping up school and whatever, I felt like I should still put in a few more hours of trying to wrap things up for work, and I was even struggling to do that, and it just kind of kept going and going. So and really the last few days here was just like, relax. It's time to let it go. It's time to stop now. We're going to actually take this holiday for 2 weeks like you said you're going to, and you're just going to play and be present, and enjoy the time with the kids, and all of that. So, um, you know, there was a bit of needing to suspend disbelief that, like, yes, I can really let this go, even though the last week before ended up being basically me off for a week because of everybody being sick. It just was like, oh, well, too bad. It's time to be off now and be fully off and not worrying about it, and be just having some family time, and all of that. So, um, yeah, just leaning into that, trusting that, and suspending disbelief that that's exactly how it was supposed to be, and that it's going to be more like 3 weeks off in a row almost, by the time it's all said and done. And maybe that's exactly what I need, right, for a complete reset. So that is what I have to share with you about about that, and I will talk to you tomorrow.